Hello, welcome to the GameTrailers Comic-Con 2013 wrap-up show. This is something of a grand experiment. Obviously, GameTrailers did a sort of like mini preview 5-minute version the week before Comic-Con. Jeremy, you did that with Brandon and Ash from Hey Ash, What You Playing. But this is more. This is a little more ambitious. We're going to go about 45 minutes in length. Talk about a couple of things. And if this is successful, the idea is that we're going to turn this into a regular, every week, pop culture, nerdy, geeky type, cool shit podcast, video show, whatever you want. Is this a podcast? Can it be called a podcast? A vidcast? What can we be called?
A show.
A show. A show. How retro of you. So, yes, joining me, I am Marcus Beer from Annoyed Gamer and Invisible Walls. Joining me, John Santo.
Greetings. How's it going, folks?
And Jeremy Hoffman.
Hello, hello.
And we were all at Comic-Con in some way, shape, or form this week. I think, John, you were there for the first.
I was never there. I was locked in a small room receiving footage for 5 days
that's
straight.
Right. Yes, you were watching.
Yeah,
you were watching all the raw feed.
Everybody have fun.
Yeah.
While I then cut it together for the special show that was taking place on Spike.
And Jeremy, you were there for the full 4 days, pulling in 16-hour shifts, producing 35 different shows.
Pretty much. Did some stuff for Spike, GameTrailers, MTV Geek, online. I don't know what I did. There was a couple secret projects we were working on. It was a busy Comic-Con.
And I was there on Saturday just to shop.
I know, because I kept getting the text messages. They're like, you want to come up and shop? And I'm like, I'm working on my 12th show today.
Well, I was just trying to be nice.
I know.
We're one big happy family here at GameTrailers. Okay, so let's kick off. There were numerous announcements out of the Comic-Con panels this weekend, and I mean we'll go over some of them moving forward. I know if you're a fan of Invisible Walls or Annoyed Gamer or whatever, you know how much of a Doctor Who fan I am. But we're not going to talk Doctor Who this week because I'm going to put the Whovians on the panel for the next show when we get the trailer. But let's talk about the big two, I think, for us anyway, Marvel and DC. Marvel, we'll go to DC in a minute, but Marvel came out guns firing. I mean, they had so much content to talk about. I mean, before we even get into movies, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
Clark Gregg, they showed the entire episode. A lot of people have posted their thoughts on it. The general consensus is that Clark Gregg as Coulson is the show, and anybody and everybody else is pretty much leftovers.
Well, I guess we should also say, in all the running around and working we get to do, we unfortunately don't get to wait in 12 or 16-hour lines.
No.
So I didn't get to see any of the panels. I did get to do some of the post-panel interviews or having to read that stuff, but none of us actually were at the panels.
No, we weren't. We didn't have time. And this is all right. Let's get this.
So just so people know, like, we didn't actually see some of the footage. We've read the reports. We've talked to people.
Everything we discuss is hearsay.
Yeah. Or heresy, whichever you prefer.
Yeah.
But let's get there. You go. Let's throw one thing out because this is my biggest issue with Comic-Con. Why the hell don't they stream the panels 24 hours after they happen? Charge a subscription fee. You can pay $9.99. And the money goes to charity or to Comic-Con or whatever, and you can just stream every one of the panels. You can read, not download them. You can just watch them, catch up on them, see the footage. It makes sense for the studios who spend a lot of money to do it.
It doesn't make any sense for the studios. We've talked about this. The studios are never going to release unreleased footage that early. The reason they do it is because they're showing complete work in progress stuff that they don't want the internet to see, and part of getting into a Comic-Con panel. So one of the requirements for them is they have to bring out the whole cast, and they have to show something new that hasn't been seen anywhere else.
They don't have to show the footage, though. They could just cut to a commercial or something during the footage and then come back. Because everybody wants to see the panel.
The panel stuff, a lot of that's all online.
Yeah.
You can go back and watch those.
Actually, I think it is kind of, ridiculous that they are prepared to show it to people who they know will then describe it in its entirety online ad infinitum, ad nauseum, when they can actually put it out there for people to see. And the people who will subscribe to the this sort of feed are the people who are the fans who can't get to Comic-Con, or people like people at this table who don't have the ability or inclination to start lining up for Hall H.
Well, let's
H
not talk about what's wrong with Hall H and actually talk about stuff, because I could do this for hours. And so can you. So let's actually talk content.
All right. Well, in that case, Comic-Con, start streaming that shit for all of us. I want to see that Doctor Who trailer. All right, Marvel. Now, I did some notes. We've had some discussions pre-show. Marvel have somewhat of a busy slate.
Right. And so just to clarify, I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, Marvel, when we consider Marvel Universe, that's actually what Marvel owns. X-Men is owned by Fox. Spider-Man is owned by Sony. So when we talk Marvel Universe,
it's the
main, the Iron Man, anything that was in Avengers attached to Avengers.
We'll also,
we'll touch on that stuff, but we're talking Marvel's panel stuff right now.
And so, I mean, look, 2013, we know we've got Wolverine coming still, and we've got Thor at the end of the year, and Kick-Ass is a Marvel offshoot. Because Vertigo, is it Vertigo? I think it is.
Vertigo's a DC offshoot.
Oh, sorry, Dark Horse.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know who Dark Horse is part of.
Brain malfunction. All right, but anyway, and then 2014, Captain America 2: The Winter Soldier, X-Men, Days of Future Past, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. And then 2015, Avengers: Age of Ultron.
And then somewhere in there is also Spider-Man.
It's
X-Men because that's Fox.
Yeah,
Spider-Man's 14 as well.
So actually, Spider-Man's 14, and then because I've also got Spider-Man in 2016.
Yes, they've
and
announced
Spider-Man 4 in 2018.
Well, that's because Sony needs to make a Spider-Man movie every 2 years to keep Spider-Man in their rights, or Marvel's going to take it back, and Marvel's just waiting for that.
So all right. So we know what's coming out next year, and we know there's the Spider-Man and Electro and that. Let's just go to Avengers: Age of Ultron. I mean, Joss Whedon came out and they talked about it. He revealed, the title, and then he revealed kind of a bombshell because everybody was saying, "All right, Age of Ultron, Hank Pym's going to be in it," and he came out and said pretty much no Hank Pym.
Yep. Well, he said you don't need Ultron. You don't need Hank Pym for Ultron, which is strange because we all know that they're working on, or at least they've said Edgar Wright has that Ant-Man movie he's working on. That teaser test footage went out last year after Comic-Con and leaked online and looked really good. So does that mean there's no Edgar Wright movie coming? I think you could get away without it. I mean, obviously the Marvel Universe now is its own universe.
I thought they'd officially announced Ant-Man for Phase 3.
I thought they did as well, and I think that's where Doctor Strange will fall under Phase 3 as well.
Phase 3, right. And they could sneak Pym, though, into Avengers 2. I mean, it doesn't mean he makes Ultron. It just means that he could still, have a small role in the film.
Or he could be in Captain America for a while. I mean, who knows where he's at. He could pop up at this point.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, if you have Hank Pym, you're probably going to have Wasp as well. And, I mean, they would probably end up as lesser characters, perhaps, in Avengers 2.
We already have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in Avengers 2. That's been confirmed.
And that's the interesting thing for me now that they've announced Ultron, because Ultron is kind of tied in, well, depending on which version of the Marvel Universe you read, but in the old style universe, Ultron kind of evolved into the Vision character, who ended up marrying Scarlet Witch. And so it's interesting that they've got these two together. I know there is a alternate universe from Marvel because they have 6,000 universes where the Vision is actually an alien emissary of Galactus in one of them. It's all kind of messy, but I think it's interesting. And people were saying Coulson would be the Vision, and you and I were discussing this earlier because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Coulson holds it all together, and you came up with an interesting idea for Coulson.
I mean, so obviously in Avengers 1, he's dead.
Spoiler alert.
Well,
let's face it, if you haven't seen that movie yet, you're not really watching this show.
How is Coulson back? And I'm sure there's people out there know, or maybe that hasn't been announced in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but is Coulson the Vision? Is he, many times in the comics and the comic book universe, you see Nick Fury has body doubles and robots and.
And Robert Downey Jr. did mention in the first Avengers movie, it's like, you have reached the life model decoy of Tony Stark.
Right.
So, they have... They've
said that's happening. So is Coulson really is Coulson? Or was the Coulson in Avengers? Was he a life model decoy that got killed?
How many Coulsons are there?
All the Coulsons.
Well, one.
I mean, there could be. I mean, did he really die? I mean, this is the other thing. Did he really die? I mean,
It could also have just been Nick Fury just fucking with us.
Well, that's
just to
give them
pull
give
emotions.
them something to avenge. That was one of the things out of Avengers 1, along with the trading cards that had Coulson's blood on them that weren't actually on his body when he got killed. They were in the locker. So, I mean, there is definitely a mind game here. And with Joss Whedon, he likes to kill people. He also likes to bring them back to life.
John's face is red and he's twitching right now.
He died on screen. I mean, it's not. It wasn't one of those things where you cut away and you see Jackson walk into the you see Jackson walk into the room, throw down the cards, and say he's dead. You get the
he might have just passed out and just exhaled. And the med
gas.
the med,
It was just gas.
the actual confirmation of he is down came over the voice.
Right.
So he could. It's like. He's down on the, perhaps we didn't hear the rest of the sentence.
Listen,
he's down on the floor. He's actually okay. The meds are reviving him right now. Don't worry. But,
Right.
Shield Tech, it perhaps didn't work.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, that's going to be an interesting way. I think
Yeah, I want to know how they're going to retcon that. Cause
Marvel's obviously made their own universe. We were talking about it earlier, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sure they're going to have to bring in some kind of C-level supervillains and superheroes.
All right, so let's have a look at that. This is the Marvel slate, and this is including some of the Fox and Sony stuff for 2015. So we have Age of Ultron. We have Fantastic Four reboot from Fox. That's going to be good. Ant-Man is the other one rumored for 2015. Going to 2016, Spider-Man 3, 2 unannounced Marvel titles.
Right.
So we're hearing Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange, and then God knows what else. I mean, could we be looking at Vin Diesel as Luke Cage, Hero for Hire?
Right. He's also been rumored to be Thanos, was the rumor last week.
Yeah, he's
voice of Thanos.
But, I mean, is Thanos in Avengers 2?
I
mean,
think
we know Loki isn't.
No, I think Thanos is going to be your big bad for the next 6 or 7 movies. I think Thanos is he's
going to be the Emperor. He's like in the
background.
Right,
he's a world destroyer. Right. Like, he is someone that's that big. So in the Avengers 1, he sent Loki. Well, Loki failed, so maybe he's going to send a robot now. Right. And that's where Ultron comes. Like, I think Thanos, we're not going to see that fight with him until Avengers 3.
Well, so that's 2016. So there's 3 for 2016. They've only got 1 unannounced Marvel title on the slate for 2017. And then nothing after that. I mean, 2018 is Spider-Man 4, but I mean...
is some of that because they're trying to figure out the whole Iron Man scenario right now with Downey Jr.?
Well, he has signed for Avengers 2 and 3. Yep. He has signed and on board, and they are paying him in diamonds or something. He's making a truck ton of money out of it.
They're actually building him an Iron Man suit. That's going to work. That's how much they're paying him.
Yeah. So, I mean, do we see an Iron Man 4? Do we want to see an Iron Man 4?
I don't know. I mean, it's at this point, who knows? I mean, what's going to happen in Avengers 2? Like, what's going to happen in Avengers 3? What's going to happen in all these movies? I mean, we're so up in the air at this point. The thing I'm most interested about, we haven't really got into now, is Guardians of the Galaxy. Most interested not because I'm a huge fan, but because how the fuck are they going to do that?
It's a giant mystery. Yeah.
Everyone that I talked to that saw it said it was the footage that they showed was really good. That it was hilarious. They thought it was funny. It worked really well.
How much footage did they show? They've only been shooting for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
or
but
like
I think from what I heard, the tree I'm blanking on right now, and Rocket Raccoon are both like CG, and it was some test stuff that was placed in.
Gotcha.
So it sounds like that stuff is pretty good.
Interesting.
I just don't know. Obviously, we're going to build that stuff into the world. And then Avengers 3, do they all come together? I will keep making the joke. Is Rocket Raccoon going to be riding the back of Iron Man as he flies in, dual-wielding, like shooting? Like, are we going to get to that point? I don't know.
That would be an 8-hour movie.
I'm in.
That would be an 8-hour movie that I don't think a lot of others will. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy next year. I mean, James Gunn. Talented filmmaker.
Very skilled, yeah.
Was it Slither?
Slither.
Yeah, I loved that movie. It was just a barrel of laughs. Isn't Nathan Fillion in that one?
Yes, he was the cop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's James Gunn has.
Might we find Nathan Fillion apart in the Marvel universe?
I think at this point we're just never going to see him. I think everyone wants it so much that they're just like, no, we're just going to do it to spite you, because it's been rumored for I think he would do it in the drop of a hat, and he'd be great. But which roles? It's like, where are we going with some of these characters?
Hank Pym.
Yeah, I'm in.
Hank Pym, slightly older. He could carry off Hank Pym.
I think at this point, unless you see him as a standalone movie, so here's the problem, right? And we were talking a little bit about before the show, is for these characters like Doctor Strange and Ant-Man or the Vision, we know who they are. You guys know who they are. Most people don't know who they are. So they're going to have to hire an actor that's a name. Something like Batman, Superman,
Yeah.
those type of characters that are
already a
so
brand.
iconic
Yeah.
that everyone knows who they are. You don't have to cast a named actor. So I think for someone named Ant-Man, and it's kind of a stupid name. I mean, as much as I like the character,
No,
it's
it's-
kind of a for for my mom.
you expect-
Ant-Man.
you expect
What's he
two things
do?
out of that.
Like,
Yeah.
is he
Hopefully it
super
delivers.
small? And you're like, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm starting the casting call. I'm now seeing Hank Pym, Nathan Fillion. I'm
Yep.
seeing it because he can carry off the nerdy. And then I mean, we need to step on to the next topic. But the other thing Whedon did say, he's very open to revisiting the Firefly universe, which made me very happy as well. I'm a big fan of Serenity and Firefly.
He finally said that because he has said for years that there's no way.
He said that he's not interested in revisiting
Oh.
Buffy, Angel, those other things. But then it came out in an interview last week that he was not adverse
That's
to
interesting.
coming back to it.
It is the one universe of his that feels pretty incomplete.
It does.
know?
Yeah. So
Hold on then. Message for Netflix. Let's get on this shit. Firefly. Pause the Arrested Development. I'll be okay with that. Firefly. Back to our show.
Netflix streaming, yeah.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it. I mean, who else is gonna fund it? Like, and that show is huge on Netflix. It's still streaming.
This is true,
That's
yeah.
where most people I know watched it. So
Yeah.
let's bring it back.